my childhood. It was very magical.
The Emmys have come and gone, and now Hollywood is shifting into Oscar mode. And then they'll be all back to the small screen again, with many of the newbies on the scene vying for the big prizes, as well as those much-desired renewals. Which is a long way of saying a new fall TV season is upon us, which means the stakes are just a little higher this week, with the show that you have to watch. Tonight sees the debut of the Jimmy Wolk starring Parallel Lives drama Ordinary Joe on NBC. Tomorrow sees Empire co-creator Lee Daniels back on Fox's primetime schedule with Our Kind of People. Wednesday takes us back to the 1960s from a markedly different POV with the Don Cheadle narrated The Wonder Years revival on ABC. And HBO has the Rai Russo Young directed docuseries Nuclear Family debuting on September 26th. So which one will be the show that you have to watch this week?
I'm Joe.
I'm Amy. And what is it that you want to do?
I'm going to be the next Billy Joel. Guy can dream, right?
What if I asked out that girl I just met?
My mind was traveling.
I love you, Amy.
I love you, Joe. Kill it.
It's good to be home!
It's freaking Juilliard. You're like my superhero for getting in. Come to the beach. I need to tell you something.
What if I married my best friend?
Sorry. We had 3 code blues and the hospital was short-staffed.
Can you believe we made him?
At least we did one thing right.
There are 2 things that I will always have an extreme reaction to. The terrible loss of life on 9/11 and my extreme dislike of the music of Billy Joel. And NBC's multi-universe drama Ordinary Joe, which premieres tonight, is full of both of them. Unfortunately, for all the poignancy of the former on the 20th Remembrance, which starred Jimmy Wolk's fictional father, one of the NYPD fallen, and the annoyance of the latter, the heartfelt Ordinary Joe's contrails doesn't really go anywhere from what I've seen so far. Based off a UK series, the fact is the basic plot point of the 3 directions that Wolk's Joe's life could have gone with one self-described choice as a hugely successful musician, a cop, and an ER doctor with a failing marriage and a special needs child have been superseded by the entire first season of Marvel's Loki and literally What If already, with more than a little of sliding doors obviously tossed in and the emotional expectations of This Is Us. But all in all, the big budget and boomer heavy rock of Ordinary Joe is rather ordinary, and more a revolving door of cliches and tearjerker twists of a life our lives not so well lived. And let's be honest, nowadays, network shows, they just have to be more than that in every timeline.
I was young when I learned there was a difference between us and them. They have money, power, but I have a secret that will expose them all. So whether they like it or not, I belong here.
One of Lee Daniels' greatest skills is the Empire co-creator's ability to meld like a mixed master and weave influences together into his own narratives. Of course, the talent is also in the source material, which is partially why Fox's new soap, Our Kind of People, which hits the airwaves from E.P. Daniels and showrunner Karen Gist, doesn't exactly kick off with imperial overtones. Based somewhat on Lawrence Otis Graham's 1999 book, Our Kind of People Inside America's Black Upper Class, the Martha's Vineyard set tale of black excellence, big money, family dynamics, and the pursuit of Yaya DaCosta's new to the famed islands Angela Vaughn to the right and wrongs done to her housemaid mother is pure dynasty, sparkled with revenge, which even with the on-camera skills of Morris Chestnut and Joe Morton quickly becomes a pretty rudimentary case of spot that plot in the early episodes and leaves Our Kind of People stuck in its own kind of rut right out of the gate.
I always describe my parents as Juliet and Juliet. Like they described the moment they met.
It was immediate. Gabon. Kaboom. We lived in the West Village. It was very gay.
We were creating a new world of gay liberation. Your parents were part of that.
2 same-sex parents and children. I don't think anybody even thought that that happened.
We wanted gay men as donors.
No rights, no responsibilities.
Smart, tall, dark, and handsome. As a gay man, Tom was attracted to the idea of helping lesbians have families.
We used an artichoke hearts jar. Fill it up, insert it.
And then they had us.
When it comes to what an American family is, nowadays, thankfully, the spectrum is wide and the bench is deep. And so is HBO's 3-part docuseries Nuclear Family, starting on September 26th. Directed by Rai Russo-Young, the show turns the lens on her own family of 2 lesbian moms who had her and her sister through sperm donors. As an artifact of the time in the late 70s, when gay was only mainly seen as mainstream in San Francisco's Castro district, and lesbians were often either ignored and discriminated against, Nuclear Family is explosive in its spotlight of a world that was thankfully so long ago, but in point of fact, not really. That's one level of the excellent and incredibly moving Nuclear Family. The other levels are the scathing lawsuits that Russo-Young's mom was subjected to by one of the donors, a legal action that played out in the press as well as in the courts and helped redefine what an American family can be. It's pretty hardcore stuff and gut-wrenching, part autobiography, part generational unity, and partially the story of our America and the families that built it, even if they had to be dragged into that arena. Or as Russo-Young herself says at one point in the docuseries, with sadness and unbelievable joy. However, as much as you should watch Nuclear Family, the show that you have to watch this week is about another family, another time, another POV, and that's ABC's September 22nd premiering The Wonder Years revival.
What would you do if I sang?
Tell her you want to start going together, man. Don't be scared.
I'm not scared. Hey, stop it! Hey, say you're sorry.
Man, she's tough.
I know. I dig it.
Now look, I was never a big fan of the original Wonder Years, when it debuted with a pint-sized Fred Savage back in 1988. Not that there was anything my considerably younger self particularly disliked about the late 1960s coming-of-age series. It just never felt particularly coming-of-age or 1960s set to me, except as a nostalgic backdrop with some war in Vietnam tropes. Cut to 2021, and the new iteration of the now Lee Daniels EP show is nothing but set in its time and place, as well as today, with its new perspective of 12-year-old African-American Dean Williams, played by a terrific E.J. Williams, growing up middle class in barely segregated Montgomery, Alabama, in the late 1960s. Yeah, it's the usually bland landscape of network TV, but in this case, this is real. And with voiceover of an adult Dean by Don Cheadle, plus West Wing vet Dul Hill as Dean's charismatic musician dad, and Saicon Senblois as his businesswoman mom, Vietnam and the civil and economic rights battles of the era are very up close and personal as the stakes evolve for the Williams family, siblings, parents, and their close and wider community, and horribly stay the same in the Fred Savage helm plot, which is struck by the assassination of Dr. King that 1968 day in Memphis. Put it this way, if the original Wonder Years was the coming-of-age story of the Arnold family, then this Wonder Years is aiming to tell the tale of the coming-of-age of our America. And that's why The Wonder Years, the revival of The Wonder Years, is the show that you have to watch this week.